Ashe Collective, and today is the day that the moment of truth has arrived. So I'll start this recording off by reminding you all about the situation that occurred to me in 2023, because that anniversary of that incident recently passed, and I try not to put it all over the internet because I don't want to keep reliving it, because to keep actually pouring into a situation is to actually materialize it, because you're continuously projecting energy into it and you're causing it to grow. Okay, you're allowing it to live on, and we're not allowing traumatic situations to live on in my energy. Okay, so for all the newcomers, in 2023 I experienced an attack that was masked as a situation of me suffering from high blood pressure during a pregnancy. However, during my divination and spiritual communications, I have come into knowledge about what exactly happened to me, because on that particular day, well, I'm not going to say on that particular day, maybe 2 or 3 days before the situation occurred, where I needed to go to the hospital, was me finding my back door open. And this was 3 days before I went to the hospital. I woke up that rising, which is considered mourning in you all's terms, but I don't mourn. Okay, I don't use that terminology. So that rising, when I arised feeling very I felt like I was entrapped in some type of energy. When I looked at myself in a mirror, my vision was very blurry. Okay, and on it was my right side. Yeah, it was my right side. It felt as if someone had literally hit me with something on the right side of my head, like right in the area where your information is contained. So during that situation occurring and me realizing what I was seeing within myself, because like I said, it's as if everything became dim, and around this time I was pregnant. I was pregnant for Marcus Hayes, Hayes. And I remember several times socializing with Marcus pertaining to supernatural occurrences that occurred in his household and around him, such as individuals continuously passing away due to mixture of medications, and them drinking alcohol with it, and things of that sort. People just dying, and I'm like, well, damn, somebody's killing these people or whatever, and nothing was spoken further pertaining to that information or whatever. So he went on to specify that several of his baby mothers were deceased. And it made my mind ponder, because all these individuals that were kin to this person's wife, because I didn't know he was married, I had to investigate, and I found out he was married, and it was too late because I was already pregnant. So I investigated. There they go with the noise thing, because they think that's going to stop something, but it's not. So I investigated and found out that this Marcus Hayes was married to a Lachey Chapman. Okay? A Lachey Chapman. And the individuals who passed away mysteriously with these mixtures of medications and consumptions of alcohol were kin to Lachey Chapman Hayes. Okay? I'm not sure if they were still married. Say if they are still married, because Marcus was putting on a show. He was giving individuals an impression that he didn't want to be with Lachey, he wanted a divorce, yada yada yada. Okay, so several of Lachey individuals passed away. They got these individuals cremated and things of that sort, and several of Marcus's baby mothers mysteriously died. But see, they tried to cover up the actual murders with situations that would look like it was of natural causes, or they died from some type of occurrence, like some type of infectious disease or COVID or something like that. So it's like they try to take advantage of a situation and utilize it as the actual reason why something occurred, when in actuality it is used to cover up what exactly occurred. Okay, so I was taken to the hospital 3 days after I realized that I had been injected with something, because my blood pressure was extremely high. And I noticed, let me rewind myself back, because when I woke up 3 days before that situation occurred, I noticed that my back door was unlocked. And I have door jammers, okay, to protect me and my children in the inside of the house in case someone actually tries to access the house with a key. Okay, they still can't get in with a key. So I was trying to, mentally process, how did someone get into my home? How did my door become unlocked? And I know that I continuously told my son to not leave that door unlocked, to not leave that door jammer off the door, because of situations that have occurred with me in the past, where individuals just were coming into my house and they were doing criminal occurrences. They were actually orchestrating sickness by the utilization of criminal activity, if I may reiterate that, okay? Because I don't want y'all to like, what the hell did she just say? Okay, so I was still puzzled into questioning whether my son intentionally left that door jammer off the back door and allowed someone to come in while I was asleep and do whatever was done to me. However, during my investigation, I have come into realization that these individuals were trying to destiny swap. They wanted to swap my destiny with my sister on my mother's side, LaTosha Williams. And I have gotten several indications that it was her, and it was multiple individuals that were working with her or whatever. I don't know if she's have manipulated these individuals, fed them false information and, won them over so that they can actually, help her maneuver in the utilization of information, or maneuver with the utilization of the information that she utilized to feed them, to actually make moves with her and for her. This situation occurred once I realized that my sister on my mom's side was a part of the orchestration. I kind of stopped messing with her. I stopped interacting with her and things of that sort. And this was years ago. Now, let's go back to when I was taken to the hospital and things of that sort, because I actually contacted Marcus to bring me to the hospital once I went and purchased a high blood pressure cup and things of that sort. That's how I really knew that my blood pressure was extremely high. I have never had high blood pressure, and I found it strange that all of a sudden I'm pregnant, and out of nowhere my back door is unlocked open when I wake up, and I have all this occurring pertaining to my energy and things of that sort. And it was just crazy, I even felt like someone tried to break my my left arm in a place where I have this tattoo on my arm which is a Trinity seal. Okay, so once I realized that my blood pressure was high and things of that sort. Did I mention that I couldn't see nothing out of one of my eyes? It's like I had one of my eyes was very blurry, and the other one was like, it looked as if it was some type of, how a computer looks when when the pixels have been burst in the string. Like if the pixels burst inside of a computer string, do you know how they look? Imagine that. That's what it looked like out of one of my eyes. Okay, so these individuals someone came in, and it has to be connected to this Marcus and his Lachey situation, because there's no way that all of your, a large percentage of your children's mothers have mysteriously been unalived, and how they were unalive has been sugar-coated and covered up to make it look like they died from something that was available. I'll say available because they utilize what is available to cover up what has actually occurred, and it be murder. Okay, so after I realized the blood pressure and things of that sort, and I was like, what in the world? Why is my blood pressure this high? But I was feeling strange, I kept going back and forth to the tub to like cool off, because I was feeling overheated as well. I then contacted Marcus, and Marcus came and he took me to the hospital. And when he took me to the hospital, the first hospital we stopped to go to, Y'all excuse that noise, because there ain't nothing but somebody trying to distract me from getting this message out. When he took me to the first hospital, which was Ochsner, they told me that they didn't have any OBGYNs or whatever, and that they couldn't take me or whatever. And I explained to them what was going on and things of that sort. So I wound up getting transported to a hospital named Memorial Hospital, okay, where I live at. And yeah, when I was transported to that hospital, they checked my blood pressure. My blood pressure was extremely high and things of that sort. And you know how these individuals are. The man was like, "Ma'am, I am surprised that you are even able to walk and speak and things of that sort. Your blood pressure is extremely high," or whatever. My blood pressure was like in the 200s. Okay, so I was still talking, walking, and things of that sort. I was just having early contractions. All right, so when they decided to put me in a room, they put me in a room 11, number 11. I spoke about that on my platform. Number 11 is a sacrificial number, which means that these individuals were trying to sacrifice me. I don't care who don't like what I'm saying. I must get my truth out, and you can take it how you want to. It is what it is. Truth is the truth. The truth gonna stand. It don't need no crutches. So I was like, I don't want to be in room 11. And they were like, why do you don't want to be in room 11? I didn't tell them why I didn't want to be in room 11. However, I knew why I didn't want to be in room 11. Okay, so they go on to try to hook everything up. And mysteriously, everything in room 11 is broken. Nothing works in the room. And I'm like, that should have been a warning to take me out of this room. However, they still went on and said that they needed to do an emergency C-section. And I was feeling contractions and things of that sort. And I don't think they had any time to give me anything to, stop me from feeling pain. So the only other option that was left was for them to put me down. It was some type of gas mask that was put on my face where they had to put me down. They performed a C-section, and I remember coming back to, and the doctor was asking me, did I remember what happened? And I told him, no, I didn't remember them taking the baby out of anything of that. So I just woke up with a cesarean cut. Okay, so after that occurred, me being asked that I remember and things of that sort, I told him that I didn't remember anything. And after that, they went on to move me to other rooms and things of that sort. And I think within a day or so, within that night after I had that C-section, they come to me telling me that they didn't think the baby was going to make it to the next day. Organs were failing, things of that sort. The baby had suffered from, what do you call that? I'm trying to remember what happened, what the baby suffered from. It was a stroke or something of that sort. It happened, the baby suffered this in my stomach due to the temperature rising from whatever the hell I was injected with or whatever. So they tried to rule it and cover it up as if it was natural and that happened, which I have never in my life had high blood pressure. Okay, throughout none of my pregnancies have I ever experienced that, and I've always given birth vaginal. Okay, so all this is gonna make sense in a minute. After all that occurred or whatever, they were saying that the baby heart was enlarged and the organs were failing, and there was nothing that they could do for the baby. The baby was going to die or whatever by morning. So me being the person that I am, I told them to go ahead and just go ahead and because they actually had her in a ventilator, so she basically was, basically like she was on life support. So I told them to go ahead and let her go or whatever. So they went on to do whatever it was they needed to do, and they came back and told me that this baby had 3 chromosomes of 13. Okay, 13 chromosomes. I haven't ever in my life had these type of problems. All of my children have come out natural. Like I said, I've had them vaginal and nothing was wrong with them. They haven't had duplicates of no type of chromosome. You know what I'm saying? That's like a DNA error or somebody trying to insert something. Okay, so let's bypass that situation or whatever to the Lachey and Marcus situation, because I actually, after experiencing a situation that occurred with me or whatever, and after I had my other child that I now have that's approximately 13 months, something significant about the number 13. But yeah, when that situation occurred, and after that situation occurred, and I had another child, I decided to look deeper into these individuals. And when I did research on the Marcus Hayes, the Hayes, I found out that the Marcus Hayes was connected to my dad's side of the family and a childhood friend whose last name is Forcell, Forcell. And I connected Marcus' wife. Well, I don't know if they're still married, because like I said, he put on a persona that he wanted a divorce. Okay, so the Lachey Chapman, however you want to spell it, is connected to my mother's side of the family. Okay, my auntie, which is my mom's sister, name was Carrie Lee Chapman. This Chapman, Lachey Chapman, is tied into Carrie Lee Chapman side of the family, their bloodline. Okay, which is all intertwined into one bloodline now, because like I said, the Hayes and the Chapman is connected to the Williams. Okay, so, and I did this, I investigated, so this information that I have is credible. I can prove it. Okay, so these individuals reside in Alabama. So I'm like, well, how are these two individuals kin to me? Like, how are they kin to me, and who orchestrated this? Because it comes to a point, like, I knew that something was being orchestrated because of the situation that happened after I went through the situation where the child died and I was impregnated again, and how that situation played out. I knew that somebody was orchestrating around my life for the presentation of whatever type of facade they wanted to present to the world of me. So therefore, I started investigating, and I found out that the Hayes is kin to me, and the Chapman is kin to me. However this situation was orchestrated, it was orchestrated to basically take me out and to take something from me. However, these individuals have to be connected to a large group of individuals that practice some type of ritual sorcery occurrence, because everything that happened to me was every bit of a ritual. Okay, I'll rewind myself back to the hospital now. In the hospital, when I was in the hospital, and before the baby was before they said that the baby was dying and things of that sort, and they was calling the dad to come up there, because I was in the bed and I told you I could barely see. I was able to see very clear in the spiritual, but my vision was blurry when it came to the physical. So therefore, when they told me that my baby lungs and things of that sort, heart and all this stuff, was organs and everything of that sort was failing, and she wasn't gonna make it, and I decided to go ahead and tell them to release her, because I don't like to see individuals suffering. If she's went through these strokes and all this stuff due to the situation that occurred, then there's no way that she should have to suffer anymore. I asked them, can they give her something that would, help her bypass of feeling anything and just release her, because she don't need to be stuck in a decaying body. and that's just how I felt. That's who I am as a person, and I don't care who don't like it. So they had some females that were communicating with Marcus Hayes, and as they were communicating with him or whatever, these type of people communicating as if they knew him or whatever. So they were communicating with him as if they knew him, and they were telling him that the baby was blah blah blah. They were whispering though, so like I said, they took my vision for a reason. All this shit was orchestrated and done for a reason. So they took my vision and things of that sort. They were telling him, he kept going upstairs or whatever. They were saying that the baby was this, the baby was that or whatever. So in the midst of them calling him, because they say the baby was passing or whatever, like I said, I was able to see very vivid in the spirit, but I could not see that clearly in the physical. So I was more spiritually bound than physicality. So in physical form, I seen, as they told me that my baby was passing away, and they called him up there. I'm in the bed, right? And I'm in the bed, and during this time, as I'm in the bed, they're giving me a blood transfusion. So as I'm getting this blood transfusion, I'm laying in this bed, in the spirit, in the spiritual realm, I'm seeing myself, like I'm in the bottom of a old church, like in the attic part, like in the very, no, not the attic, that's not the attic, what's underground, what do you call that that's underground? Because the attic is above, and it's something in the what do you call that? Hold on a second. The basement, that's what you call it. I was in the bottom of a basement, like in a corner, and I was like bald. You know how you sit down and you're holding your legs and you're very scared and you're crying. That's where I seen myself at. I was there, and it was dark. However, there was a window that I was able to see out of, and through that window, it was still, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, through that window, it was kind of light at the top, but at the bottom it was darkness. So I seen an individual. I couldn't see their identity. So whoever this person was, they wanted to cloak their identity. So this individual was holding my baby like above their head. Well, not above their head. They were holding my baby out, like forward out from their body, and two hands, and they were walking up the staircase. And as they walked the staircase, they got halfway up the staircase, and they handed my baby over to a masculine white male that was cloaked in a very long black gown with a red cross on the front of it. And once they met this individual halfway, and they handed my baby over to this individual, the individual then took my baby and held my baby over his head as he walked back up the stairwell into wherever he walked into, and then he vanished and disappeared or whatever. And this was during me receiving the blood transfusion or whatever. And I remember like waking back up during the blood transfusion, and I had a sense of feeling like I wanted to just rip all of the tubes out of my arms and things of that sort, and run, and and I'm like, what am I experiencing and things of that sort. I further dug into information, and I realized what exactly occurred to me and to that child. Okay. But I'm not going to go any further about that situation, because it was done in a spiritual way, to where in physical form it was cloaked to be addressed and perceived as something else occurring. Okay, so after that happened, I started really digging into the barrel. And when I dug into the bedroom, I started investigating everybody that was around me, because I kept doing readings, and the readings kept coming out saying who or what is around you. And it's like it was making me dig into information pertaining to who is in my environment, in my vicinity. Like, who is around you? Like, who are these people? Like, do you know who are around you? So I went to digging into more information pertaining to other individuals, and I found more information pertaining to the individuals who own the house that I live in. And I found out that the individuals who own the house that I live in is connected to the Williams, which is considered to be my daddy's side of the family. Okay, but these individuals are they're Caucasians, and they have other last names other than Williams, but they are tied into Williams, because when I looked into their information, I looked into kin, like people who are kin to these individuals. See, that's how you link individuals and you find out who is who. So when I went into the next of kin, and the kin, and who is kin to this person, who is kin to that one, and I found these individuals, I was like, well, wow. And you know what? I even went as far as obituaries, because obituaries are not going to lie. They're going to put that information right there. And when I went into this obituary, I seen Williams, and I seen this particular person first name. And I was like, oh, so they're kin to me, and they're trying to mask themselves as if they're not kin to me or whatever, but they are kin to me. Okay. And I'm going to make this information, very understanding for those who may be kind of puzzled right now. The house that I live in, when I came from the hospital after that trying situation that occurred to my daughter in 2023, I came home to a house where the light bulbs had been switched out to blinking light bulbs. Okay. And then someone had started hacking into my phone, and they were putting information on my phone, utilizing the algorithms, or however they were tapping into my system of my phone. And they were putting messages on my feed through the algorithms of the social media platforms that I were engaging in, stating that if you see blinking lights in your home, it is someone trying to communicate with you from the other side. So basically what they did was they took a horrific situation, and they tried to utilize it to another level of torture. Because who in their right mind would do something like that to somebody? And who would think that something like that is funny? That someone has just went through this traumatic situation, and now we're going to put blinking lights in this person's home, and I still have the blinking lights, I still have the proof. We're going to put these blinking lights throughout this person's home, and we're going to manipulate this person or make this person batshit crazy into believing that now the child that they have lost is now spiritually communicating with them by blinking the lights in the house. You know, that's somebody trying to, they were trying to literally drive me insane. They wanted me to actually, oh my goodness, I'm getting teary-eyed. Let me take a deep breath. They wanted me to be crazy. That would drive somebody insane. And this is what these individuals were doing. This is the measurements they were taking to try to destroy me. And all of this is connected to some type of money, some type of information that was discovered after my uncle that was taken away from my auntie on my mama's side, who has intellectual disabilities. After he was taken from her, there were all type of hidden information and documents and things of that sort that actually revealed money that was, left to particular individuals. And this is also occurred because of an inheritance that is due to, like I said, me. They were all this was occurring because of money. So what these individuals wanted to do, because they were mad, my auntie on my mama's side was mad because when I lived in Baton Rouge around 2013, 2014, she had me doing sitting work for my uncle who she then had custody of, and it was me and other individuals that were coming in doing sitting work with him or whatever, and they were calling the people on her or whatever, and they had everyone write statements pertaining to what occurred or whatever. And me, I tell the truth or whatever. So if I see something occurring and I feel as though it needs to be addressed, and you're trying to tell the person who is actually responsible for that person, and they're not comprehending what you're saying, they're interpreting it as a form of an attack, then you need to take higher measurements. However, I was not the cause of the individuals investigating the situation. That just happened along the way. They were already investigating her because they were saying something about somebody boiling ammonia and bleach on the stove and stuff, and I didn't know nothing about that. That was told to me after they asked me to write a statement about me interacting with him. The only thing that I told him I had a problem with was when they give him the medicine, it's like he becomes completely unaware to a point where his face just falls in his food, and that was the truth. And I feel as though if I seen it, and there are other individuals that are sitting around administering this medicine to this individual, and they see it, and they're not competent enough to actually, elaborate to the proper individuals that this medication that this particular person is consuming is actually too strong, or something is horribly wrong, then I feel as though that's my place. And I feel as though after they did investigation and they removed him from her house, and they were trying to send him over somewhere else, but her daughter had took custody of him, that's when they really started attacking me or whatever. And that's not my fault, because I didn't ask for none of this to happen. I actually feel as though I was sent into the situation to free him, because he was actually, it's like he was being a prisoner. He was being held as a prisoner, someone who had Down syndrome, and they were like holding him as a prisoner and limiting his capabilities through the utilization of medication. When my cousin, which is my auntie who had custody over him, daughter, took custody over him, and she took him back to the hospital, took him back to the doctors, got him reevaluated, things of that sort. They had this, they come into realization that this particular individual was on over 20 medications that they did not need. They were diagnosed for sicknesses that they did not have. So I feel like I saved that individual. However, these individuals collaborated together to attack me pertaining to that situation as well. And how I found out about that, because like I say, I do divination. I can, retrieve information in mysterious ways. So after I found out about that situation and why they were attacking me and things of that sort, I was like, wow, that's crazy. That is crazy for this to actually occur. So I know for a fact that there was a group of individuals who did black magic sorcery on me and tried to sacrifice me, and it failed. Now let's go back to the individual who owns the house that I live in. They call them the landlords, right? The lady who lives here, who owned this house, she passed away. And her son took over the house. Okay, him and his wife took over the property and managed the property. So during that time, because the lady hadn't already passed away, I think she passed away in 2019 or 2020, around the time that my grandmother on my daddy's side passed away. And that's funny because they both had the same first name, Dorothy. Okay, so when after that lady passed away in 2023, when the situation happened to me or whatever, the blinking lights and all that stuff made me start questioning, like, well, somebody had to have access from the back door being unlocked to the light bulbs being put in the house and things of that sort. Somebody had accessibility to this house, and somebody is very demonic and evil with evil intentions that did this or whatever. So I went to digging into the information like I told you all before, and I found out that the landlord is connected to my daddy's side of the family. My grandfather, whose last name was Williams, well, my grandmother on my daddy's side was originally a Western, Weston. However, she became a Williams when she married my grandfather, like right before he died, and she became a Williams or whatever. But my grandmother on my mom's side was a Williams, and he was married. He married both of them in the end, okay, before he passed away, or before he transitioned into a new identity, however you all want to look at it. So after me doing the investigation, searching the obituaries and things, they started finding the link and things of that sort between these individuals and finding out who's kin to who and this, that, and other. I come to the realization that my sister, the people who own this daycare that I worked for back in it was either 2018, 2019, somewhere in between 2017, 2018, 2019. It's called Smart Beginnings in Biloxi. Okay, so when I worked there or whatever, there was a lady, and her name was I don't remember her name, but I remember her sister's name. Her sister's name was Rebecca. That was the person who they had removed or whatever for something that occurred, and they put me in her position. She was the person who drove the bus and transported the children to and from their locations and to the daycare. Okay, so mysteriously she pops back up, and they saying that they was putting her in another position, but she wanted her position back, in position that she wanted back was the position that I was working. So therefore, all type of mysterious stuff started happening. The gas started to get siphoned out of the damn school bus, the little small school bus for the children, and things of that sort. And I'm like, well, wow, that's crazy. And the last straw with that company was when I actually had an encounter with the individual who owns the actual daycare. I don't even know if that daycare is still open, but I had an encounter with this particular individual because a teacher peed on herself. She urinated on herself, and he tried to blame me because she urinated on herself. However, she's sitting in a room where there is sleeping time for the children, and the toilet is like inches away from her, and they wanted me to relieve her, but he said I was elaborated that after you're finished with what you're doing, relieve such and such so that she can go to the restroom. Okay, so I was almost done. By the time I got to the room, she peed on herself, and he tried to blame it on me or whatever, and with the specifying error, said she came here, this started happening. Of course it started happening, bitch. The lady wants her job back, and she's a damn witch. I know she is. I can tell. I can see past her damn meat suit. I know she's a witch. So he went to elaborating how his business is a $500,000 business, and I'm like, you mean a $500,000 business? Because you ain't made it to $1 million, so don't try to put $1 million in it to make it look big or whatever. So the situation just started getting weirder and weirder, and it's like he was trying to utilize his position to threaten me, and he gave me an alternative. you're either going to do what I say, or you're going to, you know, or you can leave. Bitch, I got up and I left. I don't know who the fuck you talking to, but I'm not one of them. So I got up and I left, or whatever. But I brought that situation up, and the lady Rebecca, because there was an occurrence. That's the airplane, if y'all hear that noise, because now they got a helicopter flying over my house. But I'm still gonna elaborate this information. Like I said, the lady, I brought that situation up because Rebecca, that worked at that, were the lady who they wanted to allow to come back, but they had let her go or whatever. She was like I said, she's a witch. I know it. I can, you know. And then I also, they try to communicate to me that that within that time frame that, oh, we know you, we know that you don't know your gifts. We know that you're not fully developed in your gifts. You know, they were delivering that energy to me to try to make me feel defeated or scared or something, or put me in a position of where they try to make me feel like I needed them or something of that sort. See, the situation that I went through, I had to learn to protect myself or be defeated, and it's not in me to be defeated. So with that being said, I came into realization that this smart beginners daycare and things of that sort are connected with individuals who knew my sister Latasha. They were speaking about her child suffering from, it was a child that she had during that time frame that was suffering from something called yellow jaundice. And I'm like, well, yellow jaundice is nothing more than a lack of biotin. I'm talking louder because they sent this helicopter because they don't want this information out, I guess. But I'm going to tell it because it was wrongfully done. And the truth is going to be put out today, because nobody is going to have individuals looking at me like I'm this monster when they've done all this just disgusting, disrespectful, unlawful corruption to me. It's not going down like that. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Okay? So I find out that they're kind of connected. They're kin, okay? In some type of sense. They're kin, connected, however you want to, you know, elaborate it. They know each other. Now, I don't know if they're tied and kin in blood, but she knew my sister, and it was being elaborated pertaining to the yellow giants and the child things of that sort. So these individuals were going around telling all type of lies. It's as if everything that they had and did in their lifetime, they were trying to make it look like I was that type of person, and they were cloaked in my energy as being innocent. Okay, so all this was like spell work, rituals, and things of that sort. So I'm going to go back to the Rebecca name, because when I was in the hospital in 2023, and I couldn't see, but I could hear very well. And there was a lady in there who came in, and this Rebecca, I heard the lady whisper to the other lady, Rebecca, and she said, we need to find her keys so that we can get something out of there. So it's something that was put in the house, okay, that they needed to retrieve from the house, whoever this Rebecca is. And the only Rebecca that I'm being reminded of is the Rebecca from the Smart Beginners, that witch. And like I said, that particular daycare, they actually gave business to several military individuals. Like, majority of their business was military individuals bringing their children in. And the daycare was just, it was a lot of, you know, sickness, like mucus and things of that sort. Children having large amounts of mucus, and I noticed when I walked in there why it was like that, because there were no windows no windows that can be actually raised to actually air out the place or actually do a thorough cleansing. It was like closed in. So if you're bringing your children into a daycare like that, it's viral. It's going to always be viral infections that are actually in the air for your children to continuously get sick. So if that was another thing I had with the police, individuals getting sick or whatever, constantly getting sick, children coughing, always coughing, and noses running and things that sort. And it's like these people don't have, it's like they're living, but they're not thinking. Like, if you're in a building, you bought a building with no windows, and you have children in this building, and this building has no way of ventilation other than the air conditioning unit, there's no way the air conditioning unit is actually cleansing this entire area of your building from infectious diseases. You see what I'm saying? Even if you utilize strong cleansings, that would be another problem pertaining to chemical hazardous exposure to the individuals that were coming in and out of that building, because like I said, there were no windows. Okay, so like I said, there are several individuals that sized me up throughout several jobs I've indulged into as well, and they're all a part of this group, this COVID, or whoever the hell this is or whatever. And I guess I was their target. They wanted to take me and wear me as their attire. They wanted to take everything that I had and they wanted to divide it amongst themselves. And I know for a fact that I have a lot of gifts, and I know I have a lot of gifts because when I was in the hospital in Alabama after I had my daughter that I just had, that's 13 months now, the lady looked at my chart and she was like, oh my, you are very talented. You have several talents. Because like I keep telling y'all people, the hospitals and stuff, they can see beyond what you people can comprehend. They can see your charts and what is going on. They know what's going on, astrological and spiritual as well. These people are far more advanced. You cannot be in that position and be sleep when it comes to spirituality. And basically, that lady walked up the stairs. She's like, oh my goodness. She's like, you are very gifted. You have so many different talents. I ain't jealous, And I'm like, well, I know this or whatever. So what these individuals wanted to do was strip me bare of everything that I owned, everything that I stood for, everything that represented me, and they wanted to wear it as their attire, cloak themselves in my energy, and put all of their negative, dirty, nasty, predator energies onto me so that I can walk in their shame and they can walk in my innocence. However, that did not happen. And I'm going to go back to the landlord, right? The masculine landlord that's the son of the lady who owned the home who passed away. Like I said, she had the same first name as my grandmother who passed away. They passed away in the same year. Both names were Dorothy. The only difference is that their last names were different. Okay, her son, during the 2023 situation where I had to, when I got out the hospital, things that sort, I'm a healer. I had to heal myself. So when I healed myself or whatever, and I healed my vision, mysteriously, just like that, like I snapped my finger, this man lost vision in his eyes and had to get emergency surgery. That's rituals. It's a ritual backfiring, okay? And like I said, I don't care who don't believe me, but I just felt like I had to get this information out because I've been holding it in for too long and it needs to be spoken. I don't care who don't like what I'm saying. I'm gonna speak the truth, and I don't give a damn who I walk away from, because you will never any value to me to even allow something like this to happen to me, or to actually do something like this to me, or to actually collaborate with individuals to orchestrate such heinous, hateful acts upon me. So I don't care if you walk away or not. I don't even want you around me if you're capable of doing stuff like this to individuals and you think it's okay and funny, because nothing is funny about the situation that occurred. And the hurtful part about it is that I would have never did this to nobody. However, it was done to me. And they expect me to sit back and just be quiet. This is the same thing that was done to my grandmother who passed away in 2019. Her name is Dorothy. They stripped her of her eyesight. They did that to her too. But they was successful with that. That's a death spell where you slowly diminish. But like I said, I healed myself. I restored my vision. I knew right then and there that somebody had did a death ritual on me. It was revealed to me. I was sent into particular books to read upon it, and in the particular books, it was highlighted, energetically highlighted. It started glowing for me to read those particular parts, and then I knew right then and there that death spells was done on me. I reversed it, and when I reversed it, all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. Okay, motherfuckers' houses catching on fire and all type of shit. And this was force. Like I say, violence is taken by force. I was forced to protect myself. And this all started back in 2011 when my alleged brother was murdered. My stepbrother was allegedly murdered. And from 2011 to 2013, I started going through an awakening. 2013 to 2015 is when I awakened, because I had a near-death experience where someone tried to kill me, and that happened in Louisiana. However, the individuals that connected from Louisiana to where I'm at now in Mississippi, these people are connected. Like I said, this has to be a nationwide coven or whatever, coven, however you want to interpret it. But like I'm saying, this is wrong. And if it was so legal, why is it hidden? Why is it hidden? And with that being said, I think I have elaborated what I want to elaborate as of now, because I still have plenty of information to explain. But I know that this elaboration has taken up a large amount of time, so I'll display some more information at a later time. However, individuals keep on trying to convince me that I need to see or go speak with a therapist. I am a healer. I'm a Reiki master. I don't need to speak to no therapist, and they should be happy that I'm not speaking to a therapist, because if I speak to a therapist, several individuals are going to jail, and that's what it is. But I'll talk to you all next time on this type of vibe. But until then, you all know the drill. Keep your eyes open, pay attention to your surroundings. Know who and what is surrounding you, because there are far more individuals involved in this than you all know, because I didn't specify it. And I don't want everybody to be on alert to know that I know that they were involved, but I just want to give them a little tip of the iceberg, like, yeah, I know, and it's only a matter of time. And like I said, in the words of Rihanna, bitch better have my money, period.